Hello there, I'm Conrad, and you're watching the It's Just Called Two Brothers YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my eMac VR PC build. So, a few years ago the hard drive on my eMac crashed, so I went ahead and took that as an opportunity to not just maintain it or fix it, but to actually upgrade it and make it to where it was a better machine than what it was designed to be. So, of course, the thoughts started turning in my head, convert it from CRT to LCD, and then that opens up a lot of room in there and also cuts down on heat, so I can slow down the fan to make it run cooler still. But then as the years went by and I didn't do that, other things started to develop. Like, instead of just making it to where it was still a Mac and reloading Leopard onto a new hard drive, I could instead make it a Windows machine. Years went by and I still didn't do anything until just a few weeks ago. We decided that we were going to go ahead and get a Vive, and rather than just upgrade my gaming PC with something like a 980, I decided that I wanted to make a dedicated machine for it. And what better thing than the computer that I wanted to build anyway. So I went ahead and hollowed out my eMac and completely tore everything down so that I could start to rebuild it as a dedicated VR gaming PC. This is the computer that I've been building, and it doesn't look that much different from what it used to. It still has the normal speaker grills here, it's got a screen, it's got its bezel, but there are a few things I've had to do, like I've had to trim out the edges because it started off with a curved screen, so they actually went over the 17-inch monitor a bit to cover up the warping at the edges. But since I'm using an LCD, there isn't that problem, so I've trimmed it so we can get a full view of everything. Let's see. Down here, you may notice that I've actually swapped out the original DVD drive for a Blu-ray burner drive. And moving back from the screen to the internals, I'm going to start talking about the changes that I've had to do inside to make this work. Now, originally on this panel here, and then around back on the other side of it, was the CRT logic panel, which controlled the CRT screen to make it actually work as a display in conjunction with digital components, and the motherboard mounted just above the disk drive. And I thought, while that was a very unique idea, the only reason I would maintain having this in it is because it does actually help with the stability of it as a whole, and it helps to keep it together. Because this whole thing did start off as a bit of a novelty, I went with a novelty processor too, so that would be an AMD octa-core 8350, and I did support the motherboard with the highest frequency RAM possible for this build, which is 2400 megahertz with 16 gigs of Corsair Vengeance. And so I could keep using the factory speakers the way I wanted to. I've installed a DAC over here, so that's a nice little amplifier for those speakers, because the original motherboard did have a built-in amplifier, but I don't have that ability with this motherboard. I've installed a ground over here on the corner of the motherboard mount, and it does ground to the chassis over here. And you may be wondering, while I'm here, what in the world a power strip is doing. Now, there were a lot of ways that I planned on doing this, and I worked through it so many different ways, and this was just the easiest way. So what I've done is I've taken a normal 3-prong plug, and I've wired it to the IEC cable that's built in as the factory unit, and that's what's providing power to this power strip. And that power strip powers the power supply and the monitor and the DAC with a USB outlet. Now, as of filming, we don't actually have it yet, but I will be installing a GTX 1080 Founders Edition in here, and it will actually have to go on the first slot, not let I'd put it anywhere else, because if I were to put it on the second slot, it would butt against the chassis, and I wouldn't actually be able to plug the power into it. Now, one of the mistakes that I made whenever I purchased the parts for this computer was with the motherboard. I ended up getting one that didn't have a dedicated video output on it, so that meant that it would have to all be from the graphics card for it, which doesn't sound inherently problematic until you consider the small form factor of it. Because of that, I actually had to purchase two 90-degree connectors for the DVI so that I could get output to the screen. And that's in addition to another 90-degree connector I needed for the HDMI cable so that I could get output to our Vive.
6 hours later.
Alright, so we did decide to spare you all the gritty details because it did end up being a much more involved fix that took several hours of downloading and installing drivers and updates. So one thing to bear in mind if you're going to put a 1080 or a 1070 into any Windows 10 computer is it has to be build version 1511. So if you've got that going, then you will be good going into your install of the 1080 or 1070, whichever one you do get. So right now it is up and running and we are playing VR games on it. Alright, so we've got the back of the case off right now just so we can show you that this is in fact everything that we've said it was. That's a normal non-Mac motherboard, all the processors and the GTX 1080 that we did talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up for you. And I have had to do one thing that was a bit odd. As you can see from this blinking blue glow over here, I have installed a power button for the monitor. Looks like I was at standby at that moment. So it is on now. I've started up Windows.
Oh, you can even see the green glow of the 1080 back there.
Yes.
So we'll show you a detailed shot of that about right here in a second. And let me reposition just so we can see this thing running. I'm not going to do a cut.
Yep, no cuts.
Do you like what you see?
Well, yes, Windows, I do like what I see. And I'll go ahead and go in here. The hold down part is supposed to be the hold down apartment, but not enough characters. Here we have lovely Windows 10. Alright. Suppose you might want us to go ahead and start up something like Steam VR.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Should be noted that we have the lighthouses just a little bit out of frame. You might have seen the wire going up above his head a minute ago. And now we just need to drag him out in the middle of the room.
Yep.
You're probably seeing a lot of details here of our messy apartment, but okay, so yeah, we don't have a permanent storage solution yet for all these things. You don't need to bring them all the way over here, man. It's already hard to focus with this thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that thing's running. So right now he's going to be doing Surgeon Simulator Meet the Medic. Stepping on that teleporter. Oh, that pulled heavy. Alright, so we gotta do some heart surgery there. Give him an uber heart. Doesn't need lungs. He's gonna have an uber heart. It does everything. Oh. It works!
You're going to live, my boy.
Fireworks going off outside or explosions?
Could be one, could be the other. Ha. Best time yet.